Welcome to the Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor, live from Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road in College Station. Brought to you by Coors Light, Choose Chill, and Gig 'em Aggies. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find the real Texas barbecue near you. And by Twisted Tea, hard iced tea for the 12th man. Please drink responsibly. Now, here's Steve Miller.
And hi again, everybody. Welcome out. We're at Rudy's Barbecue for the next hour. It is the Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor, and then that follows another Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. So we've got a couple hours of basketball talk here at Rudy's Barbecue. We're on Harvey Road. Hope you come out and join us this evening. The Aggies just had a 1-1 record this past week. Won at home yesterday against Northwestern State. Dropped a game at West Virginia on Friday night. And have a whole week in between games, and then have to suffer here in about 48 hours by getting on a plane to go to the Bahamas. So, apologies. Sorry you're having to endure that. Let's.
Who did scheduling?
I don't know. Who's in charge of scheduling? They're geniuses, aren't they? We'll talk a little bit about West Virginia in a moment, but how your team came back and seemed to really respond on extremely short turnaround yesterday.
We got back at 12:30, I guess, in the morning. By the time
the bus was scratching the pavement all the way back, so it would have been a little faster.
That's a whole nother story, but I was convinced that our bus driver stole our bus. Because
that he wasn't the actual driver?
I don't think he was the actual driver.
I would want to see a driver's license. I didn't believe it either.
You should have been in the front seat.
I can only imagine.
I prayed the whole way there, and it's less than a mile. I mean, it was. That's a whole other conversation, but it was.
It was an experience.
It was an experience, to say the least. But we pulled up to Reed Arena around 12:30, 12:45. By the time you shower and wind down, it's 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning before you really go to bed. And we normally practice at 10 a.m. on Saturdays, and that would obviously be a no-go with our players just returning. So we came back and watched film at 4 p.m., and it was a mental day for us. We worked on us a ton once we got out on the practice floor. What was really helpful for us in preparing for Northwestern State is that they were very similar to Western Michigan, who we played just a couple Sundays before. And so this was really good for our team to be able to go back and rely on some of the game plan and principles that we used in that game. And we were able to come out with a quick turnaround and, hold them and limit them to some of the things they were doing, and then take advantage of our size on the inside, which is something that we were hopeful to be able to do.
Yeah, some of that size came in the form of Jada Malone, a career day. It was at 24 points.
Yeah.
I mean, 24 points from Jada. That clearly just left her previous records behind. What was she doing in that game?
She, I'm so happy for her, and she's so proud of what she's done, and she should be. Sometimes when you have an injury and you sit out a year, you either realize that you miss it and you love it, or that you don't like it. And fortunately for us and for her, she realized how much she missed the game and how what a huge hole she left last year and not being on the floor for us. And so she worked extremely hard to get herself back. We call it no move needed scores. When you can run the floor, catch it on the block without taking a dribble, turning and scoring, that's a no move needed. I don't need to dribble. I don't need to make a move. I can just turn and score. It means you've gotten really good position. And she has mastered that. When we first got here in 2022, we looked at Jada and said she's a no move needed player. And not only is she a no move needed player, she can now take you off the dribble. Her mid-range game is there. She has moves around the basket. She is someone who just really spent a ton of time last year working on her skills while she was getting herself back in playing form.
To say her footwork is what has caught some of my attention.
Yeah, pivots. We have a pivot drill. Actually, Steve Schumann brought that to us when he came with us in 2022. And in year 3, you can see that paying off for a lot of our players, but she uses her pivots really well.
And it would have been easy for her to last year say, you know what, I've been around. I played for Gary Blair. That's how long she's been around. It's time for me to not play basketball. What went into her decision-making, do you think?
Well, let me tell you, Jada, I don't know if you guys know this. She is president of We Cubed on our campus. She's a part of Sigma Gamma Rho sorority. She's on the NCAA Leadership Council and represents the SEC, and she's a part of the SEC Student Athletic Advisory Committee. So
she's kind of busy.
And she's working on her second degree, right? So she's someone who could have easily said, I've got skills outside of basketball. I don't have to do this. Again, fortunately for us and for her, she knew that that's a passion of hers. She knew that she could have an impact, and she did not want to walk away from the game with an injury.
Yeah, it seemed like every time, you come across her, she was so positive and just coming back. Oh, yeah, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
What is it that about her, the way she transformed herself, that can maybe spill off on other players who are also coming back from injury, may not have the same experience that she did, but could see how hard she worked and how that's translated now on the court?
Yeah. One thing I want to say too is she has great support at home from her parents. Her mom and dad are just excellent. I think what players can learn from watching Jada is that she did not waste time when she was out. She paid attention in practice. When she was able to finally stand and start walking, she stood next to the position coach who coached her and listened to what he was saying and how he was correcting and coaching the other players. And then during the games last year, we gave her specific assignments. So if you go back and watch any of our games last year, Jada had a clipboard in her hands, and she actually tracked our plays. So she wasn't just keeping up with rebounds or fouls or deflections. She was tracking our offense and being able to tell us, like, hey, guys, we're not getting to the second layer of our offense here. Or we haven't run this play in a long time, and every time we run it, they screw something up. And so she was dialed in and locked in. She's already has a huge basketball IQ. And so if there's anything that I would hope that a player who is returning from injury or is even just out right now could learn from that, is watching how she grew her game mentally and how mentally locked in she was. Because it's really easy to say, I've got a whole year, I'm just going to sit over here, and some days I'm locked in and some days I'm not. And she took advantage of every day off she had.
You listed several things that Jada is in leadership of. The first one I didn't quite understand. Remember what the first one you rambled
We
up?
Cubed.
What is that?
It is a We Cubed leadership empowerment program that student athletes have here at Texas A&M, and it's for women leaders in athletics, and she is the president of that organization.
Wow, what an honor! Great for her. So she was doing so great. Also, when you mentioned post players, Lauren Ware gets a double-double. I know she's been really fighting to get back to double-double status. What was she doing?
Lauren is someone who just she is walking in pain every single day. Her knees are just, the fight that she gives us, the effort that she gives us, knowing the amount of pain she's in, we just tip our hat to her. She's our leader on the floor. She keeps us she's our glue. She keeps us together. She's someone else who took advantage of no who needed scores. She rim ran, got some rim runs for us, and she just rebounded the ball outside of her area, which is something we've been challenging her to do as well.
11 points, 13 rebounds. I mean, she was just filling it up there. How were you guys able to get the ball to your post players?
It was just a point of emphasis for us. I think it's something that, after what was our percentage from three against Corpus Christi? 11%, 13%. Thank you.
But nobody's remembering that number.
It's stuck in my head.
It should be.
God. After that game, it just has become a point of emphasis for us. The ball goes inside.
And it's been a radical change,
The ball goes inside, right? And here's the thing. When it goes inside, they're going to make the right decision, right? If they're going to pass it out, if they need to pass it out, if they need to score it, they will. Trust them with the ball.
Yeah, and now this game was 1 of 9, but some of that was just, is what it is. That's not the same as 3 for 25. And look back at the West Virginia shooting; those are pretty good numbers there.
Yeah, we are taking the right threes. As long as we're taking the right shots, I don't have a problem with it. There's going to be some days that the ball just doesn't go in the hole. We weren't taking the right shots against Corpus. Since then, I think we have gotten our shot selection corrected in a lot of ways. Let's
flip back to the West Virginia game. They're 15th in the country, playing at their place. They were had hundreds of people storming the building when the place opened. I don't know if you were probably backstage, but people were coming in as fast as they could, and many of them stuck around and they saw a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Minus a stretch for the Aggies.
We didn't come out of the locker room in the third quarter. Yeah. Third quarter is the score was 26-7 in the third quarter, and that unfortunately is the game. And it was the first 5 minutes where they came out and they punched us in the mouth, and we didn't respond quick enough to it. They went on a run in the first quarter. We responded. They went on a run in the second quarter. We responded to that as well. We knew it was going to be challenging for us. We've got a long way to go in terms of just continuing to get better every single day. I sound like Buzz. Get better. But we know we have a long way to go in terms of getting better, and that this was going to be a tremendous challenge for us. But I was proud of our fight. I was proud of our effort. I was proud of some of the things we did. We shot 52% on the road, and that's really, really good. And again, I think we said it last week, but this is a team that forces 32 turnovers and scores 47 points off of them. And when they get you going, it comes in bunches. And you look up and we're down 12, and we could never close that gap.
Yeah, the first couple of games, Soleil Williams struggled to get shots to fall.
Yeah.
Wasn't struggling to get shots, but she answered the call against West Virginia.
She did. I was really happy for her. We didn't know if Soleil was going to play against West Virginia. Her knees are bothering her a little bit. She's got some shin splint things going on, and she didn't practice that week. And so we did not start her. We started Kendall just because we wanted to try to get off to a really good start, and Soleil hadn't practiced, and the pressure she was going to face, we didn't want to put her in that position. And we subbed her in, and she got us going. She made shots. She directed our offense. She put us in the right spots. She defended pretty good for us. So I was really proud of her running our team. That was a hard environment to do that in. And I was proud of her for running our team, but also excited that she saw the ball go in the hole.
Well, and you again, West Virginia was pressing you from the moment the opening tip started. Yeah, you got off the bus and there was people there. I mean, all the way to the end, no matter what the score was. Mm-hmm. And you came in with a mantra. What was your mantra about turnovers?
Eat it.
Just eat it.
Eat it. Like they thrive off of live ball turnovers. If we get ourselves in trouble, we're taking the ball out of bounds and nobody's open, get a 5-second count. Let us set our defense. Right? If you get trapped, we can't waste all of our timeouts because you dribbled to the corner and picked your dribble up. Eat it. Take the violation. Let's set our defense. What we cannot do is throw that thing in the air and hope that we catch it and they tip it and go get layups, right? And so all week long we were saying, eat it. Eat it. I'm not going to waste it. Hopefully this is a close game. I'm not going to waste all of our timeouts every time we get ourselves in trouble. Eat it. And so that was something that we were telling our players.
Yeah, and West Virginia had forced like 30 turnovers on their previous opponents and scored a ton of points on them, and that's not what happened in that game.
Correct.
It just came down to didn't score for.
We didn't score, and then there was a lack of rebounding. If there was a one area that I could really say I was disappointed in is we didn't rebound the ball at all. Our leading rebounder had four, and that's just not who we want to be. That's not who we should be, and they dominated us on the glass, and that doesn't feel good at all because that speaks to toughness and want to and effort in that area.
That's Joni Taylor. I'm Steve Miller. We're live from Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor from Learfield. Head on over to your local Rudy's or Rudy's.com to place an order for their Real Texas Barbecue. Enjoy 100% oak smoked meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. And don't forget, Rudy serves made-to-order and grab-and-go breakfast tacos every day until 10 a.m. We're back on the Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor. I'm Steve Miller. Great to have you with us. We're at Rudy's Barbecue here on Harvey Road. And one of the things that I think maybe we're not getting enough credit for is the play of your defense.
Oh, thank you.
How have you thought about your defense?
It's getting better.
Yeah.
It's getting better. Defense is one of the things that we hang our hat on. So we're not where we need to be, but we are getting better. We're getting better. And I think we've got a few different looks we can give people, and we've got a few different people who have started to really step up and we can put multiple people on the other team's best defender, which is a good feeling to have.
Was looking yesterday, we were making note during our broadcast. We were just watching the way Kendall Hunter was playing a couple of possessions of defense, just super intense. Now, she managed to get a foul here or there, but just the focus that she was having, like, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play great defense on this possession. Yeah. It just seemed like to be a commitment.
She's someone who can affect the ball defensively. Obviously, we've seen her shoot, we've seen her score, so she can affect the game on both ends of it, but Kendall is really, really good on ball. Like her on ball defense can really be good. She sometimes gets a little antsy and wants to reach, and that's where she picks up those fouls. She gets the board a little bit off the ball, and so we've got to keep challenging her when she's not guarding the ball. But Kendall is someone who, between Kendall, Talia Parker is someone on the ball that can just hound you, and then you look at the length of Sahara and AC and Janae's coming along in that realm as well. So we've got a few different guards who I'm excited about defensively for sure.
You mentioned the guards, and it's kind of guard by committee at times. Yeah. And the latest representative who was really running the point was Sahara, and seemed to spark the ladies yesterday.
She ran it all summer and all fall for us. Sahara has probably run every position on the floor but the 5. We haven't told her to be the 5 yet, but she's played the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and she does whatever we ask. Like, just okay, what do you want me to do now? Okay, and so Soleil tried to go yesterday and just felt bad, and it wasn't a game we thought we needed to keep her out there. And so between Soleil being pulled and then Erica Moon is still on limited minutes, we said, Sahara, there you go. And so she's got great length. She sees the floor. She pushes it. Our pace picked up when she went to the point. And she's doing a really good job of knowing when to attack for herself and get her teammates involved.
You know, there's a stretch there where when she came in and took over at point guard, I mean, she ended up scoring like 5 of 7 points in that little stretch, and ended up, the team gets sparked to make 6 of 7 field goals in the first half.
Yeah. We ran there's a play we run for her, 55, and she's really good in that action. It's where we put her in the middle of the floor and we give her like a ball screen, pick and roll type of thing. And what's so good is like if the guard stays on her, she's so big. And then even if a forward switches onto her, she's just as big as the forward is, and she's quicker, so she goes by him, gets fouled. So she does a really good job navigating that.
So teams are going to have to figure out their adjustment if she's out there. If they're going to put some bulky forward up there,
right,
they're going to get left behind.
Absolutely. That's the plan. And that's what I mean. Like, she is one of many players who we can put in different positions. And so we're still trying to figure all that out. So we can continue to put one foot in front of the other every day as we continue to move these pieces around. AC, go to the 4, go to the 3. Erica play the 1. Soleil, now go to the 2. Now go back to the 1. Sahara play the 4. Now play the 1. If we can figure all that out and continue to play together, I'm excited about the versatility we have. Because it's hard to scout.
Oh, yeah. Because she seems to have unexpected speed to just going to get past. You're thinking, oh, she's going to be out there. She's just kind of filling in. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, she just passed me and has scored.
Right.
Not afraid. And the size, super impressive. But once she was scoring, or the other team is scoring, who's bringing the ball in?
Right, yes. That's one of the things we've got to get corrected. So, because she normally takes the ball out. So now she's taking the ball out, has nobody to pass it to. We're like, Kendall.
Somebody.
So, things we've got to continue to remember as we put her in different positions.
When you look at the transition, you talk about how the team responded from West Virginia into the Northwestern State game, but you got a chance again to play everyone, and we see some players starting to get a few minutes, despite some still being on restricted minutes.
Right.
How challenging is that for you?
You'd love to have everybody back now, right? I'd love to say that Erica Moon can play as much as we need her to play. With that being said, she hasn't played in 3 years, and so there is a progression to her coming back. We don't want to just throw her out there and not know how her knee is going to react, and so we are always going to operate in the best interest of the health of our student athletes. And so we rely on Stacy Kizel, our trainer, and Dr. Laura Marsh and Yolanda Berryhill, our strength coach, to tell us what that is, and then we operate accordingly. It's challenging because when you talk about load restrictions and minute restrictions, that's still practice time we don't have with them. And our schedule is not kind at all. And so the more we can be on the floor together and practice together, the quicker we're going to get better and figure things out. And we just are limited in how we can do that right now.
How do you keep up with that, with their minutes in a game? I mean, you're constantly thinking this in addition to foul trouble. And
I'm not at all. But we have people who are responsible for it. Stacy, number one, as our trainer, is watching. She's getting the stat sheet and she's watching minutes. And then she reports to either Rodney as our guard coach or Chelsea, like, all right, it's time to pull Erica. And then one of them will come say to me, wherever I'm standing, Erica's got 30 seconds or Erica's got a minute. Or in some cases, they've just sent a sub to the table and said, like, Erica's got to come out. And so those are things we talk about. We have a staff meeting every Wednesday at 10 o'clock, and everybody who touches our program is in that staff meeting. And we just give a daily report, nutrition reports, strength and conditioning reports, our trainer reports. We actually have world news, state news, and local news, too, if you want to know what that is. And then we just kind of have, like, outtakes on everything. And so in those meetings is when we discuss, like, who is responsible for this. We even have a plan if there's an emergency, like, during the game. We know who's going to get the AED. We know who's going to call 911. Like, we have scripted. Everything is planned out, Steve. Everything. Absolutely everything.
Even foul trouble.
Yes. If she gets in foul trouble, this is what we're doing. Absolutely.
So with your roster size, it's always good to have a men's practice team available. What's those impact of those guys been so far?
Did you notice that they traveled with us?
I noticed that. You were leading into the next question.
So there's a new rule this year where we can travel practice players. Can you believe that? We can travel practice players. We've never been able to do that before.
Well, some schools have been dressing them up as managers for years.
Very true.
I think you're wearing. What is your
deal? Some schools have been doing that, and so now we are. So let me back up. When COVID came, we had to start bringing in practice players. Right? You just want limited access to, especially before like there was a vaccine and all the things. And so there were no practice players that year. And so there was a waiver that the NCAA gave us that allowed our managers to practice. And that waiver has continued to get like updated every single year. And this year the waiver stopped. Okay, managers go back to being managers. They can no longer practice. They can no longer do anything but rebound and set up drills. And with that, it became, but we're going to let your practice players, travel. And so we are fortunate to have an excellent team of practice players. I mean, we have 8 to 10 guys that practice every single day. They're long, they're big, they're invested in the program. And so when you are limited in roster or with injuries, it helps to know we have 5 that we can put out there, because we're going to have 7 or 8 practice guys that are going to show up every single day, and they are going to emulate the other team. They literally, they watch film, they get the scouting report, and for the next 2 or 3 days, they're going to walk, live, and breathe our opponent and do the same moves that they do, run the same plays that they do, and it really helps prepare us.
Do you think the commitment of these guys is different being a part of now a travel squad?
I would say in most cases it probably is motivation.
Sure.
What we have done in terms of how we decided who was traveling is that we honored the commitment of our past practice players, right? The ones who last year showed up every single day. Well, we had 3 practice players that practiced on Saturday evening right during the football game, right? They came and practiced with us and then left to go to the game, when most practice guys are not doing that on Saturday evening, right? We've had a couple 6 a.m. practices where they've come. And so those are the players that we wanted to honor first. And then as we are getting to know our new practice players, when they put in enough sweat equity to show us that they're in it for the right reasons, and they'll have the opportunity to travel as well. Some of our practice guys are coming to the Bahamas with us. How about that?
I was going to say, that's a pretty good deal right there.
Pretty good deal.
So beyond the trip to the Bahamas, what do you think these guys get out of it?
I think for a lot of them, they're sports management majors. They are young men who played in high school and who are still satisfying the itch of being around the sport. I can't tell you how many in my career, how many male practice players are now women's basketball coaches because they got to be women. They got to be on like the practice squad and be around it. And so they went into it saying, I want to coach men's basketball. And now they're women's basketball coaches, or they're married to like a former player, right? Oh. They're just like family. They're just like family to us. It's a really, really special thing.
How do you find these guys?
Nancy Mulkey and our grad assistant Reagan Griffin Jr., who you guys heard last week, they go and recruit them. And there's rec leagues here, right? And so they just go watch all the rec games, and then they pick players. And then once you get a couple of them, our practice guys recruit the rest of them. They say, hey, we saw this guy who was on the championship team, or we saw this guy walk in and he's 6'6", and I sent him Nancy's information and he's coming to practice. So once you get a few, then they do it because they take great pride in it. They don't like it when we beat them. We don't like it when they beat us. And so they come ready to go.
Oh, yeah. There's never any quit on these guys.
Absolutely.
They have no problem blocking a shot or draining a 3 or whatever the case may be.
Sometimes I say, wait. Slow down. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Aggies Can is celebrating over 2 decades of giving back to our local community. Electronic donations are being accepted now through November 30th. Special thanks to Brookshire Brothers, HEB, and KBTX for partnering with our Student Athlete Advisory Committee in support of the Brazos Valley Food Bank and the 12th Can. Text Aggies Can to 83200. Visit 12thman.com/Aggies Can to learn more. All right, coming up on the show, we will have our assistant coach, Rodney Flip Hill. He'll be making his way up here to visit with us. This is the Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor. We're live from Rudy's Barbecue from Learfield. At Costa Vida Fresh Mexican Grill, we source high-quality ingredients and make our own recipes from scratch every day. Starting with our fresh tortillas to our chips and queso, Baja Bowls, quesadillas, tacos, and more. Find us at CostaVita.com or in South College Station today. We're back on the Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor. I'm Steve Miller. The next game for the Aggies is Saturday, 8 o'clock Central Time, as they play Villanova at the Battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas. You can listen on the A&M Sports Network locally. We'll be on Gospel 97.3 FM. You can also watch it on Flow Sports. And then on Sunday, the Aggies will face either number 16 North Carolina or Ball State at either 3 o'clock or 8 o'clock Central Time in that tournament. And should be some jumbled listening options. So just you'll find us somewhere, depending on the game times and whatnot. To call Matt Simon at home, he'll be able to let you know where that is. We are excited to be joined by Rodney Hill, Flip to many people. Welcome, our assistant coach.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. What's going on, Steve?
Yeah. How was your summer?
It was good. It was good. Went to Italy. That was the highlight, obviously. That was the highlight.
That was like the hot light.
Absolutely. You thought it was hot?
It was hot at times. Yeah, a little toasty a few places.
I heard we went the best time of year. I heard
in
August.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to go in August.
Absolutely.
That's miserable then.
But it was amazing. It was my first time in Europe, and so just enjoyed that. I'm a history buff, and I just love architecture and the Vatican. And, Coach Tony will tell you I'm a very spiritual guy, so just walking through the Vatican was, kind of surreal for me, and just getting to see all the things. I love wine too, so Florence was pretty good, but just enjoyed the entire experience. The thing that was different about this, and I just got to give credit to Coach Taylor here too as well, is it didn't feel like work. It felt like a trip where we were able to go and just enjoy ourselves and, build camaraderie amongst ourselves as a staff, with our players, a lot of new players coming in. So Italy was a great experience, and we're just fortunate that the university and some people here were, fortunate enough to let us to go.
Do you have a favorite takeaway? Most memorable thing?
Sorrento, Italy. I mean, I'm a water. I love the water. So anytime I can get my toes in the beach, which is going to happen Wednesday. So, you're just taking me everywhere this year. But being in Sorrento was really good. Just going to the Amalfi Coast, Pastiano was really good. Got to spend some really intimate time with staff and players in Sorrento. We didn't have a lot of things on the itinerary when we were there. So just being able to have some downtime with each other was really good in Sorrento. So I think that was my highlight.
How do you think the players reacted to being on that trip? It's one thing to go, oh, yeah, you're going to Italy. Okay, great. But
absolutely.
How do you think the takeaway for them?
It was my first foreign trip. Yeah. So I'm going to go with what everybody else was saying. And Coach Taylor said this was the best group that she's ever taken on a foreign tour. I didn't hear him complain at all. I thought they had a great time. I think this is a very mature group that we have. And so we're not seeing that all the way on the court like we want to see. But off the floor, super mature, very high GPA off the floor. I think Italy, they took it by the reins and they invested in the things that they got to learn while they were there. But they also had a great time with each other. If you check all of their Instagrams, there's pictures everywhere. So, they had a great time. I didn't hear one complaint. I didn't think they were ready to come home because they were away for a long time, but not because they didn't enjoy themselves.
Now, you got to coach one of the two games. Is that correct, or was it both games?
No, I got to coach one game. I coached both games, Steve. Actually.
I know you coached, but I mean, you were the coach. You were standing up there doing. Everybody else was sitting down on the bench doing their thing, sweating.
Absolutely,
and you were over there, doing the real work.
It was very hot in that gym. It was very hot in that gym. But yeah, that was a great experience. I didn't know she was serious. She let us know that we were going to have to coach a game. And, in the moment, you don't think about it. Then you stand up and. When you're a part of the program, it's really not your program. You want to be a representation of the head coach. That's always in your head, right? And so you're just trying to make sure that you're putting your touch on it, but you're also bringing home the things that are important to Coach Joni and the things that we want our program to stand for. And so it was a really good opportunity. Unfortunately, but also fortunately, one of our players' brother passed away, and so our staff went to a funeral, and we scrimmaged Houston that weekend, and I got to be the head coach that day as well, and that was pretty cool. So it just speaks to how much trust she has in us. You just don't get those kind of experiences a lot of places, and I've never had that experience in any other place that I've been. So more than anything, just gratitude for that moment, both moments, and they played well. So I'm excited that they didn't look bad when I was standing up.
Well, I was going to say, while you were standing up and being the head coach, did you kind of have to look down the bench and tell her to sit back down and you kind of glare over there?
Not at all. Not at all. It was funny because for a second, I think she wanted to be quieter than she was. But in that moment, it's a lot of new things going on. We have to make sure that they get the message. And so we were all coaching. In Italy, that first game, that was probably the one that we were really able to see who we were. It was the first time we got to see all of our players on the floor together, and so we were all pitching in and in the huddle. It's a great thing, especially in Italy. Like I think that was probably some of the best chemistry we've had as coaches in Italy, just passing the board around and having different conversations. So I didn't necessarily have to look down. We were it felt normal.
How about the interaction with the officials there? any language barrier, any challenges? And sometimes you get in these deals and there may be some obscure rule or how you're supposed to act. Did you come across any of that as the head coach for one of those games?
Not at all. It's funny. I mean, the last few games, I've been more at the officials than I've ever been.
No one noticed that at all. No.
But I guess, in the moment, there's so much I can tell. She's got so many things going on when you're standing in that spot that the officials are probably the last thing on your mind unless it's blatant. But on the bench, man, I just need that call.
Sure.
So when I was in Italy, I didn't really worry much about the officiating. They did a great job, I thought. Outside of the gym being 125 degrees, they did a great job of just making us feel like, we knew what we were doing. We were playing FIBA rules. And so they just did a great job just explaining some of those things early before we got started.
Can you guys tell us about any of the newcomers we've got signed up for, I guess, next year? Are we in that window yet of being able to talk about that?
We got a really good point guard, Joni Spencer, out of Houston, she goes to Lake Creek. I think it's in Montgomery. So, I mean, for those who are from Houston, Montgomery is in Houston. They say that. But she's from the Houston area.
It's just down the road.
Down the road. And actually, really good friends with her high school coach. Breonna Taylor played at Texas. But Joni's a really good point guard, heady point guard. Obviously, you guys understand we kind of need some help in that position right now with Sahara playing point guard yesterday and doing a really good job. But, I've always been told and I've always recognized as well, you can't have too many of those. Point guards they don't come a dime a dozen, especially the way that Joni plays the basketball game. She's heady, can create for other players, can create for herself. And then we got an international kid coming as well, who we have a guy over there who's just fiending to send us really good talent. And we have a 6'1" forward coming in who plays really hard and get up and down the floor and bring us some really good IQ as well.
Now, this isn't one of the players that we saw over there against us?
No, we didn't see it.
That's the first thing I looked at. I'm like, is this one of the players that we saw? I don't know. I didn't.
No, Chelsea saw her and Chelsea went to go see her.
Oh, okay.
And absolutely. So.
You didn't get to go?
I did not get to go on that trip.
How do you think, as we get back to the homeland here, how have your guards responded with the challenges they've met this season?
I'm on them right now.
Yeah.
I'm almost out of character in practice right now. But we believe in this team so much. This team has so much potential. And what we don't want them to do is settle for mediocrity. And what we don't want them to do is have the wrong perspective. I think perspective is everything. We've had a very tough schedule up to this point. And some people may not know that on the outside looking in, but you play 2 tournament teams. You play 2 teams that bring back 4 returners on tournament teams, all conference kids on those teams. And then you have a team who's just gelling and trying to get to know each other and facing some adversity in terms of injuries and sometimes practicing with 6 and sometimes practicing with 7. And, a lot of times you look in the moment and you're not looking at big picture. Big picture, we're headed in the right direction. And so we just got to make sure that their perspective is right. And I think that's what I'm trying to reinforce is, hey, to the guards especially, is stay focused on what your goals are. Let's lock in and practice. Let's not let the adversity that we cannot control get in our way. We're fighting a war and we're trying to win it with ourselves. So that's kind of the message that I'm giving to the guards right now, and I think they're responding pretty well.
All right, that is Flip, Rodney Hill, our assistant coach. Thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. Hey, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12thman.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, a Joni Taylor autographed basketball, and will be recognized on the video board during the game. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud partner, Texas A&M Athletics. The Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor returns in a moment. We're live from Rudy's Barbecue from Learfield. When you need a new roof or just have a pesky leak, you want to call the winning team at Schulte Roofing, home of the Bulletproof Roof Guarantee. Get the best. Visit SchulteRoofing.com. Back on the Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor, taking you up to the top of the hour, and then we'll have the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams from here at Rudy's Barbecue. With Joni Taylor, I'm Steve Miller. Great to have you with us tonight from Rudy's Barbecue here on Harvey Road. The next game for the Aggies is Saturday, 8 o'clock Central Time. They're going to play Villanova at Battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas, and it's a tough field there. Joni, this is 8 teams, a legit 8-team bracket. This isn't one of these things where it's like, the Eastern Division is going to play the Western Division 4 teams, and you just wait for these other people in the lobby going, yeah, we're never going to see you.
Right.
But that ain't the case this time.
Not at all. I mean, Indiana's there, North Carolina's there, Baylor's there. Like it is, and you could play any one of those teams. It is a true winner-loser bracket. Like winner goes to the winner side, losers go here. But even whichever way you go, you're going to face like a really, really good team. And normally tournaments now aren't set up that way.
Right. Oh, yeah. Nobody wants to take that risk.
Right. Nobody wants to take that risk, which is why it's the Battle of Atlantis. It is one of the premier tournaments you can get invited to. You have to be invited to this tournament. You can't just sign up and go to it because you know that you're going to see some really, really good teams.
When you talk about being invited, what type of commitment does that the athletic department make in order to do this? There's a lot of tournaments you could go to.
There are, a couple things I'll say is number one, you want to be considered a premier team to be invited to that tournament, right? And so obviously that was something that was very important to us. I think the other thing for us as it relates to NIL, which I know we're going to talk about in a little bit, like for Aisha Coulibaly, like she cannot benefit off of name, image, and likeness because she is a foreign student athlete. And so being able to go out of the country is the only way that she can have an opportunity to benefit off of her name, image, and likeness because of her visa. And so more and more, it is important for us to look for opportunities outside of a foreign tour, which you can only take once every 4 years, to go to a Thanksgiving tournament out of the country. Because as Flip just told us, we're bringing in another foreign player next year. And the only chance she's going to get to benefit from NIL, hopefully with the generous contributions of you guys, is to take her out of the country. Because they don't get to go home for Christmas. They don't get to go home every summer like our players do. That's expensive. And so they are here all the time. And so if we can, in a Thanksgiving tournament, take her to foreign soil where she can have 3 days to do something that allows her to benefit off of her name, image, and likeness. But that comes from a commitment from your athletic department because they've got to be willing to invest in and give us the budget that will allow us to take these types of trips. And we're fortunate to have that.
How do people, NIL is a very complicated thing to some people. Some people don't even know what it means, and it's named something that it's really not. So how do people get involved when it comes to Texas A&M athletics, even women's basketball?
There's several ways. The first thing I'll say is Angela Jones on our staff, that is one of her primary responsibilities, is navigating name, image, and likeness for our players and being the liaison to our athletic department and to whether it's the 12th Man Foundation or JT Higgins and Texas Aggies United. I am excited about a new opportunity. I'm sure some of you saw. We now get priority points for contributing to our NIL collective, which is something that we did not have before. So hopefully that is something that opens up the door for our generous donors to give to NIL because you can now get priority points for it.
Yeah, and that's a huge benefit.
Huge,
I mean,
huge.
Beforehand it was like, oh, I'm doing this. What's the benefit for me? And sometimes you always want something. It's not always just a tax write-off.
Absolutely, and sometimes it's not a tax write-off. So to be able to do this in that way, so that their points can continue to allow them to have the status or to gain the status that they want as it relates to our Champions Club or some of the other things they're a part of, I think it's really good.
Yeah, and there's no donation, too small, too large, because the ultimate it's a big pool, and you can they even direct where it goes?
They can. So with Tex Ags United, if you are wanting to give to the collective, there's a couple things you can do. Any donation over the amount of $1,500, you can designate where it goes. Like you can click down and say, I want this to go to women's basketball. If your donation is less than that, you can still make sure it goes to women's basketball. Pick up the phone, call JT Higgins and say, listen, I want to make a $50 donation a month. Well, if you make $50 a month, over time, that's going to equal about over $1,500. And now that money can then go to women's basketball. So there's ways around that. But it is something that we need. We are behind as it relates to NIL and women's basketball with the teams that we're competing against as it relates to retaining our current roster and recruiting new prospects. The other way for NIL to work is to literally, if you know a business owner or if you can sponsor us in that way, like to have a deal. A couple of our players just had Hot Works in town come up to them, and so they are now having an NIL deal with Hot Works, which allows them to promote that, and it also is in alignment with their brand as it relates to athletics.
A lot of it's a chance for athletes to be able to represent companies, whether they're selling mattresses or tacos or whatever the case may be.
It is something that I I feel like we jumped into it. When I say we, the NCAA, college athletics, we jumped into it backwards, right? And so now we're trying to iron it out and get it straightened out. However, it is a good thing. It is a good thing if used in the right way. And I know we have student athletes who aren't looking to get money to go buy cars, shoes, tattoos, and houses. They would like to have money to help send home to take care of their families. They would like to have a little bit of change so that they can enjoy themselves when they do have some free time. And we have responsible student athletes, and so I know they would be good stewards of it.
You did put some people in the Wayback Machine when you dropped JT Higgins' name. They're like, what? Hang on. The golf coach? Yeah, used to be the golf coach. Now is back here helping to oversee all of Texas Aggies United and super influential in that process. So
he's been great.
Great to have JT on. Saw him at the football game on Saturday night, so it's good to see him. All right, we need to take a timeout. We're live from Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor from Learfield. The 12th Man Foundation is the official fundraising organization and ticket provider for Texas A&M Athletics. Support a 75-year legacy and help shape the future of Aggie Athletics by donating today at 12thmanfoundation.com. We're back with our remaining moments here on the Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor. I'm Steve Miller. Coming up at the top of the hour is the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams right here at Rudy's Barbecue. And so we're the Aggies women here getting set to go to Bahamas, to Atlantis there in Nassau, the Bahamas. Paradise Island, I guess it's an island because you got to cross a bridge or something. I don't know. But Villanova first up. These guys 2-1 overall. They beat Wake Forest. They lost at Princeton. They beat Columbia. And they're going to have a game Wednesday night before they go to the Bahamas against Penn.
You know, we have some experience with Villanova. We played them twice when we were at Georgia, so we're familiar with them. It is a new coach. Harry Peretti is obviously retired, all-time, leading coach there, but they still run some similar things. Villanova's a team that's going to spread you out, and they're going to just try to take you one-on-one, and not one-on-one like facing you. So there's a rule where, like, if you're in the post and somebody has their back to you, you can put your forearm on them, right? Well, if they start their dribble with their back to the basket outside of the three-point line and work their way in, if you put your forearm on them, even though their back is to the basket, it is a foul.
When they get to the paint, or just at any point?
At any point.
Oh, goodness.
So what they do, when this rule came into effect, what they do is they start outside of the three-point line, turn their back to you, they shoot everywhere, they spread you out, and then they just back you down. And you can't offer any resistance because a forearm is a foul. And so they just back you down, and they turn and shoot over you. And so the struggle we had a couple of years ago when we played them is that our guards were really small, and it was Maddie Sechrist. You remember Maddie Sechrist at Villanova? She was an all-time leading scorer until Caitlin Clark passed her. She's now playing in the WNBA. She just raced up over our guards. So what I feel better about is that Sahara's big, AC's big, Talia's big, Janae's big. So we've got some size. So they're going to struggle if they try to back us down in that way. But that's what you're going to see. And if you help anywhere, they've got shooters that space the floor. They've got 2 players who average double digits. A fun style to play against. In the moment, I don't think that, but what it does is it prepares us for a team that we may see like that in the NCAA tournament.
Is there a point where, as they're backing it down, that you were in a position to draw a charge?
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
You could, possibly.
Or they just turn around, they feel they turn around, they start shooting
or passing.
They just
softly back you down. Either if you help, they're going to pass it, or they're going to just turn and try to score over you.
And then next up will either be number 16 ranked North Carolina. They're 3-1. They lost to UConn, I think it was Friday night, 69-58. Or Ball State, who's undefeated with 4-0 record. That'll be who's up next.
Yeah, both teams really good. I mean, 2 different styles of play. North Carolina's really good. She's got an experienced team back, a tournament team. Another Power 4 opponent, and then Ball State's playing really well also. They've got some good transfers that came in with good experience.
And then who knows?
Oh, goodness.
Because could play anybody. Baylor's out there.
Indiana's out there. They just beat Stanford last night. So our assistant coaches have got their hands full with scouting reports because each one of them have like 2 or 3 reports because you just never know who it could be. From game to game, you never know who it could be. All
right, it's A&M and Villanova coming up on Saturday night, 8 o'clock Central Time, out in the Bahamas. Joni, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next show here will be Monday, December the 2nd. Our thanks to Flip Hill, to our engineers Kevin Minchow, and to Lacey Williams back in Jefferson City. For Coach Joni Taylor, I'm Steve Miller. The Buzz Williams Aggie Basketball Hour is up next. Have a great night. This has been the Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor from Learfield.